Welcome to Tabletop Gaming Guild. Tabletop Gaming Guild is all about the experiences and memories that playing tabletop games with friends and families can create. And today we're going to be comparing Expeditions to Scythe. These are both phenomenal games that have a lot of the same core mentality and mechanics behind them, but they are both very different styles of games. So if you've played one of these games, you can't go into the other expecting it to be more the same. Scythe is the older of the two games, so therefore it's more likely that you've played Scythe before. If you haven't, the core idea of Scythe is it's a economic resource gathering game about optimization. Expeditions, on the other hand, is primarily a deck builder with some exploration elements tied in. It also is very heavily focused on combo building and hand management. Let's look at the core mechanics that both of these games share. They both have a very important action economy where you cannot necessarily take the same actions twice in a row. In Expeditions, a little more streamlined. You have three main actions. You have move, play, and gather. And once you've taken two of those actions, you're blocking out the third one. The next turn, you have to take that one action that you didn't take and block off one of the other actions. So you get two actions every turn, but it's never the same two actions in a row. Scythe, on the other hand, has 8 different actions you can take, but they are paired. So there's actually 4 different pairs of actions that are randomized between each player, has a different pairing. The key element of those action economy is that once you take in a pair, you cannot take that same pair again on the next turn. Also, it goes a little bit further in that in that pair of actions, there's a top action that's easy, you'll always take, but the second action you can only take if you have the appropriate resource. That also kind of ties into the next core mechanic that they both share, is variable player powers. Essentially, there's 2 variable player powers that you're going to get in each game. In Scythe, it's your action board and your character board, and each is going to give you unique starting setups and unique player powers that are not like over the top, but they are pretty cool. In Expeditions, similar thing, you have your mech that's giving you a player power, and then you're going to get a character and a companion that do roughly the same thing as everybody else's, but have slightly different variations. The third core mechanic that has made it over into Expeditions is the claiming stars. In Expeditions, it's called boasting. So you have different goals you can try to reach, such as having 7 workers or having defeated 7 corruption, and you're going to be able to claim those goals that give you a multiplier on your points. Scythe has the same mechanic in that you have all these goals, such as winning a combat, having all your workers out, that are going to earn you stars and earn you a multiplier on your points. And there's a bunch of other things that scores in both of these games, but that's one of the things that both games share, and it's where a lot of the points come from. It also is the element that triggers the end game in both games, because in Scythe, it's an instant end, but Expeditions is a little bit more gentle. It gives you everybody one more turn after you've triggered the end game. And I think that's something that actually carried through in a lot of the elements of Expeditions. It is definitely a challenging game where optimization is king, but it also in some ways is more forgiving mechanically, such as the end game not being instantaneous. You have time to figure out those last little movements to try to get as many points in as possible. But Scythe, once the end game is triggered, you're done. You could have been building up to something big and just lose out on doing that. Both games also have an unusual flaw in that when a lot of people were getting this to table for the first time, they found the game wasn't what they were expecting to be. Scythe looks like a war game. It looks like there's going to be heavy combat, but combat is a minor element of that. You're really going to be focusing on the resource gathering and the action economy. Expeditions, a lot of people went into it thinking it's going to be Scythe 2.0. It is very different feel, very different style of game, and it's more focused on hand management, deck building, and all your actions interact a lot more with other players. Scythe interaction is fairly rare, but it does happen, and it's usually in the form of combat. Expeditions, it's a lot more of, oh, I wanted to go there, but my opponent is there, so I have to rethink what I was planning to do. Or, oh, he's scoring a lot of points, I better speed things along. The other big difference is the teach. Both games can be a little bit difficult to teach, though Scythe, once you've done a turn or two, generally people have got it. Expedition, there's a lot of iconography and a lot of terminology that means it's often the majority of the first game before people really understand what they need to be doing, and there's certain elements they're not going to see until later in the game. And if you try to explain that in the early game, it's just too much. I haven't mentioned yet, the most obvious similarity is the art style. Scythe, pretty famous for its phenomenal art and the fact that the board game was actually designed around the artwork. And this takes that phenomenal artwork and creates an entirely new game that's also phenomenal and looks incredible. There's a huge emphasis on high production value in both games. I got the Ironclad edition that has these awesome metal minis, but even the retail version is still really nice. The other huge similarity, at least I predict it'll be a huge similarity, is support. Stonemaier has made a lot of great expansions for Scythe, and by the looks of it, by the way they've designed their box, it looks like they have planned to have a lot of great expansions for Expedition as well. It's much faster than Scythe. It's a lot thinkier, but there's a lot more kineticism to the game because of all the combo building. You have some pretty huge turns. With all that said, these are both phenomenal games. They're some of my favorite games, but you need to go in knowing what you're getting. If you like Scythe, you will probably like Expeditions, but it's not a given. They are very different styles of games, and you have to go in expecting that. I think the biggest shortcoming of both of these games is people are going in with incorrect expectations and being disappointed because they didn't get what they wanted. If they had gone in with a clean slate or having known a little bit more about the game, I think most of these people would have really enjoyed both of these games. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check us out on other social media such as Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to like and subscribe.